between then and now. You have a say in what happens here today. Who run it? We run it. Who run it? We run it.
Welcome to the first ever live Titans Tilt podcast. Ooh, I think we just started. There we go. First ever live Titans Tilt podcast presented by Stadium Rant. I am your host, James Schmeits. Titans travel to the Chiefs this weekend. I am joined by a very special guest today. We've got Trevor Steinbacher joining in here live from Kansas City. Trevor, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Ready for this. Ready for a little Titans Chiefs action. We've seemed to be getting this about once a year right now. So
we've gotten
keep
it
going.
It looks like I think it's the fifth or sixth straight year. So you're just going to lead me right into my first question. Out of the last 6 games, Trevor, how many has Tennessee won? I was stumped by this one today.
I am not stumped by this. What does this date back to 2016?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there. Yeah.
The 2018 roughing the passer that is still a junk call even to today.
Still mad.
It shouldn't have happened, right? Marcus Mariota. But I think the answer is 5. I think the Titans have won 5 of the 6. Outside
that
of
is correct, and they lost what game?
The playoff game, wasn't it?
The AFC. It wasn't just the playoff game; it was the AFC Championship game.
Championship game, baby. Was that the one way to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was the Titans' wild card run to the AFC Championship, where I think it was AJ Brown's rookie year, and they beat them in this right before going to the Super Bowl. Megan, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Always supporting us. Hopefully you're doing all right with Naheem Hines getting traded yesterday.
Whoa. AFC South, you guys need to stick together.
I know they despise me some. They love me, but they get very annoyed with me a lot.
Love-hate relationship.
Exactly. So we've got a huge game this weekend, Trevor. Titans Chiefs battle for the 2 seed in the AFC. In the AFC, Titans are 5-2. Chiefs are 5-2. Chiefs have beat. Oh, there it is. See, Chiefs have beaten quite a load of teams. You got the Chargers, Bucks, Raiders, Niners, Cardinals. Losses to the Bills, which is perfectly acceptable, maybe the best team in the NFL. And explain this one to me. I was in Tennessee for a game and missed one. How did the Chiefs lose to the Colts? How does that even happen?
Well, Meg says it all too well, and it is too soon to talk about Colts beating the Chiefs. Man, what a disaster that was, right? Like, if you look at the whole season, that's the one that sticks out right now to me.
They just gave it away, correct? Right? It was a lot of turnovers, penalties, just fell apart, right?
Sky Moore is still dead to me. He can't catch a punt, but maybe Kadarius Toney will come in and take over, and we won't have to see Sky Moore catching punts anymore.
Speaking of muff punts, Tennessee's got 3 on the year, so I get that completely. It's not great over there either. Yeah, you got your new shiny toy. Is he going to make his debut this week?
I think so. Everything seems to be trending in that direction. I'm sure it'll be on a limited basis, but he should be out there. He has been practicing. He was out practice yesterday and today. So I think we should see Toney potentially catching punts, honestly.
Could very well happen. You guys also are coming off a bye, which is not fair at all. You know, Tennessee had to play a game last week, and you guys are on 10 days getting ready here. It's just not fair at all, in my opinion. So, but we will. So we touched on Tennessee's won 5 of the last 6. I didn't remember this. You remember it more than I did. What happened last year? Kansas City goes to Tennessee and gets absolutely annihilated. Titans actually, this one was wild, Trev. Titans had more offensive yards than Chiefs last year.
Yeah. It was bad. The Chiefs scored 3 points in that game. The Chiefs played 20 games last year. They scored 20 points or more in 17 of the 20.
That's crazy.
And the Titans game, they scored 3.
They got beat 27-3.
I mean, it was just a thrashing of the Chiefs last year, just a beat down that the Titans handed them. And I believe that was potential. I can't remember exactly, but it was pretty darn well like the reason the Titans were the 1 seed and the Chiefs were the 2 seed going into the playoffs last year.
Yes, it pushed that. That is correct. I guess for me, I just forget most of last season after the phase out in the playoffs. I completely act like I just forget the whole dang thing. It's so interesting. Tannehill throws for 64 more yards than Mahomes, 270 to 206. Mahomes throws a pick, and it wasn't really Derrick Henry. He had 86 yards. It was the former Titan who I just makes me sick every time I see him on TV. AJ Brown lit them up last year, 8 receptions, 133 yards, and 1 touchdown. So little. I don't know if it's going to be a revenge game for the Chiefs. I don't think they've forgotten. Did you see Mahomes' quote from practice today?
I did not. No.
Here's a good one. So Mahomes asked him in practice today. He goes, "Last year we weren't ready and they beat our ass. This is a team a lot better than people talk. This team is a lot better than people talk about them. People don't talk about their defensive line." I think he's spot on. Tennessee's defense is playing elite in the last 5 weeks of the season. Now, they haven't played anybody as good as the Chiefs since the Bills, and we know how that game went. It did not end well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got plenty of rebuttal against the defense being elite. Obviously, winning 5 games in a row is nice, but when you check out the schedule, it's kind of expected.
Whoa. Well, we'll get to the defense here. We're going to start your guys' offense first. How about that? And Megan, I will give credit to the Colts defense. I think the Colts defense is really good, and they played a lot without Shaq Leonard. Their offense has just not lived up to it this year. The offensive line specifically, their defense is really, really good. So Trev, we're going to talk Chiefs offense first here. I've got some stats. All I'll say is these numbers are horrifying as a Titans fan. They're great for you, horrifying for me. 31.9 points per game. They are first in the league. Tennessee hasn't scored over 24 points yet this year, Trevor. They have not scored over 24 yet this year. So there's that. 403 yards per game, second in the league. 296 yards per game passing, second in the league. 107 yards rushing, 23rd in the league. That's to be expected that they're going to pass the ball. 6.3 yards per play, second in the league. I mean, we just go down this list. It's first, second, all over the place. Essentially 52% on third down, first in the league. 77% in the red zone, which is just ahead of Tennessee, scoring 4 touchdowns a game. So, Trev, as someone who is – I don't think I've watched a single Chiefs game this year. The big one, the Bills, Chiefs, I was with my family. I couldn't watch it that day, so I don't know anything about them other than they've got Mahomes and a bunch of receivers that are all – besides Travis Kelce, nobody's really broke out. What can you tell me about this offense, and what should I be worried about on my end?
Well – after the Chiefs lost to the Bills, I made a statement that I didn't think this team was elite. And one of the reasons I said that is because the offensive line. And the way that you beat the Chiefs is by getting there with your front four. And you kind of mentioned the defensive line there for Tennessee. You get there with the front four. Essentially, you just try to play blanket coverage and get there before Mahomes can make any magic. That's how you beat this team offensively. You go back to the Colts. That's what Tampa Bay did even in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Like that's any of their losses with Mahomes, that usually seems to be the recipe for disaster for the Chiefs. And really right now it's all about Travis Kelce. And if you can stop him, if you can double him or whatnot, and get your front four to Mahomes, and you're going to be sitting in really, really good position. Juju Smith-Schuster, since the day that I said this team isn't elite, he has had, after that Bills game, he had kind of had like a broken tackle and took it to the house. It was his first 100-yard game of the season. You started to kind of feel it, but I was kind of skeptical because, again, it was a broken tackle, whatever. Like, it's not like he was getting open. And then the 49ers game happened, and this offense just turned it up. And that is the offense that all the stats that you just spit out there, like that is the Chiefs offense. And we saw it in full force against the 49ers. And I expect that's what we're going to see coming out of the bye week again. Sunday night is this Mahomes team just kind of just turning it on, probably abandoning the run and just throwing it all over the place and using all the weapons they can, whether it's Hardman around the edge, probably get Tony a couple of touches here and there. Juju and MVS. I mean, MVS in each game has almost had a bomb, like very similar to when he was with the Packers, right? Like he's the field stretcher, and he'll keep doing that. Mahomes will keep hitting him. So this team looked really, really good against the 49ers. And if we see that same team, sorry, friend, I don't think there's going to be much of a game.
I worry the Titans, their offense obviously is built around one guy, and the 31.9 points per game scares the heck out of me. Tennessee is not going to win a shootout. They don't have the receivers to do it, and their offensive line from a pass protection standpoint just can't do it. That's the big worry. Mahomes' numbers are great again this year. He's fourth in the NFL in yards, 308 per game, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, only 12 sacks. The wide receivers and tight ends, like you said, it comes down to Travis Kelce leading the team 79 yards a game. He's got 7 touchdowns. However, didn't 4 of them come in one game on like 28
4
yards?
4 of them came in one game. Yes.
Yes,
he did. But I think the thing about it is like they're gonna use him anywhere and everywhere around the field. And in that particular game, he was shut down. Like he was shut down across, throughout the field. And then when he gets to the red zone, they're gonna find him. And that's why he's so good, is he can be used all over the field.
And I know the only reason I know about Juju's numbers is he's on my fantasy team, and he's taken off the last couple of weeks, which has been good for me. He's just slightly under him, 70.6 yards a game, 2 touchdowns. We talked about Valdez-Scantling, Mecole Hardman. Tony, you think, is he a slot guy? Is that where he fits in on this team?
I think Juju is the slot guy. That's where I think he is the best at. I think Tony is going to add maybe a dimension of a field stretcher, but they play these guys all over the field in lineups that I really truly believe I think Hardman or Tony is a better Mecole Hardman. Like that's what my gut says. My gut says they brought him in to replace Mecole Hardman. I actually expected Mecole Hardman to be traded. That didn't happen. Not even sure if it was going to happen, but it didn't happen. I think he's not going to be re-signed for next year. So I think this is a opportunity to get Tony a couple more years and replace Mecole Hardman, because to me, their skill base is about the same. They do the same things, but Tony should be better at it than Hardman has been.
And he's on a rookie contract, and I don't know what kind of contract Hardman's on, but Tony's on the rookie one. Megan brings up a good point here. Tennessee's front seven is going to be key to this game if they can get consistent pressure on Mahomes. I don't know how your guys' line is. I don't know enough about him. That's the key. And Tennessee, we'll talk about it when we get to the keys again. Tennessee's front four is good enough and has the depth to do it. You've got to keep guys back. So old Mahomes can't just pick you apart up there. And I've seen him do it in person. I was at that AFC Championship game. He just shredded my soul that day, just ruined me. We're going to move over to our Chiefs defense here. This is a quite opposite end of the spectrum. Stats are complete opposite side here, Trev. So Tennessee and the Chiefs, they're just reverse. Titans defense, elite offense, not so much. Chiefs is the opposite. They're allowing 24.6 points a game. Titans are not even scoring that many a game. 369 yards per game. The big one here, we were joking about this on the pre-show, 92 rushing yards per game, which is third in the league. Trev, is that stat a little misleading?
It's definitely misleading, man. When you're throwing the ball to play catch up the whole game because you're chasing Patrick Mahomes, you're not going to run the ball, right? And the only team, I mean, outside of the Colts, because Colts beat the Chiefs as well, but really, I mean, the Colts, most of their offense came from a couple muff punts into scoring positions, so they didn't have to drive the full length of the field over and over and over again. And then the Bills don't run the ball when they play the Chiefs. Like the Bills know how to tear up this defense because they know that these defensive backs can't handle one-on-one Stephon Diggs, so they just throw it up to Stephon Diggs every time he gets the ball.
And fortunately for you guys, there is no Stephon Diggs on Tennessee's team.
Or A.J. Brown, baby.
Or A.J. Brown or Gabe. We got none of them guys. We got Robert Woods, but he's more of a blocking guy right now.
Not scared of him anymore.
No. Yeah, that's you. It's just you talk about everybody playing catch up. That's why they're giving up 277 yards through the air per game, which is 30th in the league. Secondary wise, Trev, I know in the past it was the Honey Badgers. Is there anybody back there to worry about that we should know?
Yeah, well, I think Juan Thornhill has played really well this year. I think the most of their problems when the Raiders made their comeback and probably should have beat the Chiefs, going for 2 there, and God, that was a disaster as well. But whatever, they held on, got the win.
Hey, win's a win, man. Take
the
it.
Chargers making a comeback. Mike Williams has gone off against this team. Stephon Diggs, I mentioned, has gone off on this team. Michael Pittman went off for over 100 yards. Like every wide receiver goes off against this team, wide receiver one. And so I think that, from a Titans standpoint, that they're going to want to try to find somebody to take advantage of that. However, that's really mostly at our cornerbacks. The 3 of the 4 cornerbacks that are going to run out there this weekend are rookies. Fortunately for the Chiefs, we'll get in a little bit of injuries, but fortunately for the Chiefs, they're getting their first round pick back potentially this week. So that'll be helpful too from the defensive back standpoint. But yeah, this D-backs, they're young. They're inconsistent, but I think as the year goes on, they'll continue to get better. And hopefully I'll eat my words that says this team is an elite.
It's funny you say that after Tennessee got beat by the Bills 41-7 in week 2. I threw up the white flag, doom and gloom. It's over. Tennessee falling apart. The line's trash. A.J. Brown's gone. We got nothing. Derrick Henry was washed up, and we're now 5 games. They've won 5 games in a row. So credit Mike
on
Vrabel.
The back of Derrick Henry.
And
this defense.
And the defense. Like, that's what I figured it'd be before the season, but the defense struggled the first 2 weeks, and they've gotten better slowly. Chiefs don't really force any turnovers. It's 1.1 a game. They're just middle of the pack in the league. 3 interceptions, 5 fumbles. They do have 19 sacks, 2.7 per game. Is there any defense? What defensive lineman are we looking out for? And there's a suspension too that's going to affect this game, right?
Yes.
I can't think of his name.
Because he's out for 2 games. We just had Willie Gay come back from a suspension, so it really threw me off. But because I was about to talk about Chris Jones in the middle. You always got to worry about Chris Jones in the middle.
Yeah.
He turned it up last week. This defense had 5 sacks last game against the San Francisco 49ers. And the Tennessee Titans are giving up a sack on 9.5% of their dropbacks, which is 29th worst in the league.
That's
so
bad.
If this front 7 kind of gets after it as well, same thing you were talking about, you get them in some long down and distance. I think that Kansas City is going to draw up the blitz quite a bit and really beat up on this offensive line and try to take advantage of that and hopefully get back up there to 2.5, 3 sacks is what they're 2.5 sacks, what they're averaging. So they can get to 3 to 4 sacks. I think getting to Tannehill will be a key for this defensive front, just to take some pressure off of the defensive backs who are been struggling quite a bit this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're Tennessee's offensive line. They're great in run blocking. Pass protection has been a huge problem all year. And then you couple that with receivers that can't get open. I think this would have been a great game for Treylon Burks, Titans rookie, first-round draft pick, but he is on IR and he isn't eligible to come back till next week. He's got turf toe. Lucas Oil Stadium broke him in half. So, we're
by the way,
pretty depleted.
It was Frank Clark, wasn't it? He's the one that got suspended.
Yes, that
suspended is 2 games.
Yeah, he's the one. Yep. So you mentioned injuries. You've talked about a cornerback coming back. Trev, injury-wise, what's it looking like for the Chiefs?
Yeah, for the Chiefs, mostly healthy, coming off a bye week, which is always nice to be happening there. Trent McDuffie is the rookie cornerback I mentioned earlier. That should be active this weekend. He was activated yesterday, coming off the IR. That's when they get like the 4 to 6 weeks, and once they activate him, they get like 21-day window. But it seems like he's ready to go. He was out there at practice today, so hopefully he'll be ready to start on a Sunday. Huge boost to this defense. McDuffie, he was drafted 21st overall by the Chiefs in this mass draft, and we've only really seen a half of a game from him. He started the season as the starting cornerback. Halfway through the Arizona game, he gets hurt. So it'd be nice to see him back out there, see what the rookie has, and see what he brings to the table. I talked about Kadarius Toney. When he was traded, he had a hamstring injury. All of a sudden, he seems healthy. Maybe that hamstring wasn't hurting after all. We'll see.
He's an interesting one because he was drafted by a different regime. They took another slot receiver. He kind of got pushed out. Was he hurt? Is he hurt? Maybe he's not hurt, and then he gets traded, and it sounds like he's immediately healthy. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So reports seem like, again, I mentioned earlier, it seemed like he should play a little bit, at least in a limited role there. But those are really the only 2 big names that are on the injury or potentially injured. but they both seem to be trending active. And so right now, knock on wood, fingers crossed, it seems like Chiefs are coming into this pretty healthy after the bye week.
Yep. Tennessee, on the other hand, I would argue complete opposite end of the spectrum. Quite a few injuries. And the major one is quarterback Ryan Tannehill. He's questionable, did not play last week with a ankle injury. He did practice today. I think, from reading into his comments after practice today, I think he's going to be a go for Sunday. The real question is, will he be mobile at all? How much is it going to bother him? He talked about having pain in it. He knew it's going to happen. I think they sat him last week more as a precaution. I know you don't want to overlook any team in the NFL. However,
it was the Houston Texans.
It was the Houston Texans, and we needed one player to beat them, and it's a player that is historically great against them. So I who knows if he could have played, but I think he could have had this Chiefs game been a week earlier. Defensively, Titans, good and bad. Their starting safety, Amani Hooker, got hurt in the game last week. He didn't practice today. We haven't had our full starters on defense yet this year. There's always one or two guys missing somewhere. So Hooker's a big one. We need to have him, especially for your guys' passing attack. Linebacker Rashad Weaver practiced today after missing last week with a back injury. It sounds like he's a go. And then we've got a cornerback too. Cornerback Elijah Molden was activated off the IR, so he's in that 21-day practice window. He was our starting slot last year, and he had it all lined up in the sprint or in the fall camp leading up into this. He got hurt right before the season, and they dropped him on IR, and they never talked about him ever since. They didn't even mention him. But on Monday, they waived a defensive back and had an open roster spot, and I predicted this one was coming. Looks like he talked to the media today for the first time all season. It looks like he's going to be go for Sunday. And Tennessee had a bunch of guys that didn't practice today. Jeffrey Simmons, some offensive line, but I don't think any of them are going to miss the game. The big key is Amani Hooker, the safety, and Ryan Tannehill, the quarterback. Like, if Tannehill doesn't play, I don't see a world in which Tennessee can compete. They can't score enough. I
would agree with that.
You could put, and again, the Texans put 8 people in the box against Derrick Henry last week, but Chiefs and Texans are two different teams. Chiefs defense is quite a bit better, and they just outscore them. Tennessee only scored 17 points last week. You'd need a mammoth defensive effort without Tannehill there, and I just don't see it. So
I gotta say that you said that the Titans hadn't really talked about your boy cornerback, but I know a podcast host has been touting him pretty well all season, has been waiting for this day. So let's hope that you see him in person on Sunday, and we'll see how well he does. And do you think what do the Titans do? Do they run a 2 deep zone like the rest of the league now, or are they going to try to body him up one-on-one? What do you think they'll do for the Chiefs?
It's so interesting. In the past, when you guys had Tyreek Hill, you'd want to line your best guy up against him. None of your receivers are Tyreek Hill. They're all really good in different ways, but they're not that explosive deep. I think the big one is Travis Kelce. You'll see a lot of safeties Byard on him a lot. Outside, Fulton's slowly developing into, I think, what will be perceived as a shutdown corner here soon in the next year or so. He's gotten really good. I think they'll play him straight up. I think you'll see the 2 deep over the top. It'll be interesting. You don't really want to play a zone against him because if you don't get any pressure, Mahomes is going to murder him.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got guys that are fast. You've got guys that are crafty. Garden, somebody on Kelce that's just good luck to anybody. It's one of the toughest assignments in the league. They're going to try to go 4 guys rushing as much as possible. That front 4, Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, Bud Dupree's finally healthy. That front 4 is really good for Tennessee, even with Harold Landry out for the season. Like you said, the less pressure you can bring, like the more guys you can sit back, the better. It helps out back there because you start putting those guys on an island, somebody's going to get open. And Mahomes is going to find them.
That's right. And I would assume, at least I've seen it before, where some defenses have kind of shadowed Kelce with the safety that's like a second defender, right? So put a linebacker or whatever, a slot corner on him, and then shade him with a safety. The other thing I've seen a lot, and I think works pretty well against Mahomes, is a spy, and not necessarily a spy because he's not Lamar Jackson, obviously, but a spy in a sense of like as soon as a play starts to break down, he just goes and gets him. Like just get after him and don't let him dance around. Don't let him roll out and make a play or, whatever, and kind of extend the play. But as soon as he starts to break down the play, like then that spy just goes after him, because it just kills all the time that Mahomes has. Right. And that's where Mahomes just makes all his magic, is when that play breaks down and he can try to get out of the pocket and give himself even more time. And then that's just like backyard football with these wide receivers, and your defense can't, your defensive backs can't hold up that long. So something like that, I think, would be really smart to see the Titans come out and do. And you do some things like that and you get in. I mean, Mahomes has had some bad days. Obviously he had a bad day last year, right? So if anybody knows how to stop him, it is the Tennessee Titans. They've shown it before that they can hold them to 3 points.
They've done it before in those backyard plays like you talk about. The one that I'll never forget, the backbreaking one, was the AFC Championship game right before half, where he ran it for, I think it was 35 yards for a touchdown. In front of, it was right in front of me in the stands, and that just completely broke the Titans. Tennessee was controlling that game, looking like they're going to head into half leading, and he ran off, I think it was 35 yards, and it just
where it kind of looked like he was going to go out of bounds, and then he just toe tapped it right on in.
Yeah, and I think he if you saw me, probably reached up, grabbed my heart, and just destroyed me all in one process. Laughed on his way by. But like you said, that keeping him in the pocket is key. You got to get pressure on him, get sacks, but you can't let him get out, because that's where he's at his best. I can't remember what game it was earlier in the season where it was like on the 5-yard line. He stopped, juked, threw it to the guy that was not wide open in the end zone, but then was wide open, and they showed the picture, and it's like, this guy's going to double clutch throw it to that guy, and he gets a touchdown, and it's what he's best when he's freelancing like that.
Yeah, and the receivers, and even Clyde has gotten into it a little bit in the down by the goal line. Like they know where I don't know. I assume they practice. Like if the play breaks down, this is where you run to, right? Like this area of the field, and so they're just so great at it, and that's what keeps this offense above most all offenses, probably other than the Bills.
Yeah,
like this offense is way above everybody else because of that ability to get out and just really, as the play breaks down, create.
Yeah, I think there's 2 quarterbacks in the league that can do it, and you just mentioned the Bills. It's him and Josh Allen. They're on a different wavelength than anybody. They're better than the rest of the league in that front. We're going to move to key matchups here, Trev. What are we going to be watching? I'm going to let you go first. I've got mine wrote up here. What are you watching on Sunday? What's important to you to see?
Yeah, for me, it's 2 things. The first one, from a Chiefs offensive standpoint, Chiefs are converting third downs on 52% of the time, first in the NFL. And the Titans are only allowing offenses to convert third downs on 25% of the time, which is the best in the NFL. So this is really a mano-a-mano, man-on-man situation. Let's see who's going to be the best. Last week, you had the bet, or 2 weeks ago, I guess it has been now. I keep saying last week because that was the last time the Chiefs
you had a bye
played.
week. Yeah, cheater team, man.
Last time the Chiefs played, it was best on best, right? Best offense versus the best defense in the league, and the Chiefs just destroyed them. I really think that's going to be a huge component to this game, is what happens on third down. Can the Titans get off the field on third down, control the clock with the run game afterwards? Last year, I think it was like a 37-23, something like that time of possession, right? They just got off the field on third down. The Chiefs went 4 for 11 last year on third down conversions against the Titans. So that was a huge thing for the Titans in their win last year. It's going to be a pretty big matchup this year, I think. Third downs is going to be key, and it's something I'm going to watch the whole game to see, especially early in the game, like how's this game going to go. I have one more too, and it's the flip side of things, and we kind of talked about Derrick Henry a little bit earlier. It's this Chiefs front 7 against the Titans and Derrick Henry. Last year, you mentioned it, right? Chiefs held Derrick Henry just 86 rushing yards, which was big time. And what I think they're going to do this year is they're going to body him up on the outside. They're going to go man on man and maybe keep one safety in the middle, and they're just going to blitz the hell out of the Titans. and they're gonna make Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, whoever it is, throw the ball one-on-one. They do that anyways, right? They did it against Josh Allen, and obviously Steph Diggs is a different breed. But that's what they did last year against the Titans. They stopped the run, just 86 yards. The Titans had a guy in A.J. Brown that we talked about that you mentioned earlier, all his stats, 130-some yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
So they don't have that this year. So I really expect Spags to just dial it up over and over again and just really commit to stopping the run and stopping Derrick Henry. The wide receiver one specifically has been the Chiefs' kryptonite this year on defense. I don't see that with the Titans. I don't see a wide receiver one on this team. So I think that, this is one of the areas that if they can load up and stop Derrick Henry or slow Derrick Henry, keep him under 100 yards, I think the Chiefs will be successful on defense.
I would agree that was one of my two where we kind of overlapped there. As mine was Derrick Henry's versus the Chiefs rushing defense. Obviously, number 3 rushing defense in the league, but it's not really telling the whole tale. Yeah, it's skewed. There's no hiding. Tennessee goes as Derrick Henry goes. All you need to do is look at the stats from the Texans game. Derrick Henry on the season, 755, 7 rushing TDs. You saw the tweet I sent you today.
I've got the tweet right here for you, brother.
For the 4th straight year in a row, is leading the NFL in rushing yards per game. He's got 107.9 rushing yards per game. Again, first in the NFL, 4th straight year in a row. They said he's 3rd in the league. Can they stop him? That's the key, Trev. That's the key. And I don't know your defense well enough. He's been stopped early in the season this year. The first couple of games looked a little rusty. He's got 5 straight 100-yard games, including last week's 200-plus yarder. Now, the logo on your helmet's wrong. If it's a Texans, it's 200 yards automatically. Chiefs is a little different. So that's key number one. And then mine, again, it overlaps is you talk about it on third downs. I just talk about it as whole. You've got the number 1 offense in the league versus the Titans defense that's thrown in 5 straight elite weeks. However, you wanted to point out to me that none of those teams they played are elite, and I will give you credit there. When they played the Bills, they got shellacked. You're not going to give much credit to the Titans opponents, and I'm not going to. Fair enough.
Raiders, Colts, Commanders, Colts, Texans.
Yeah, well, those Colts fans, they were.
The Colts. The Colts had a quarterback retire after the first quarter against the Titans. The Commanders haven't had a quarterback all year.
Well, Wentz, come on, man.
And Derek Carr is like he's a backup quarterback that I don't know why the Raiders just continue to tout him as this great quarterback.
I don't know. And that was before Josh Jacobs tore off and went on his tear. He did nothing against Tennessee, and we lost to the Bills on a 2-point conversion in the first game, or we'd be 6-1. We also mixed the kick. So we might not have played any of the best teams outside of one that just murdered us. However, 5-2 is still 5-2.
That's right.
Here's some stats from Tennessee's defense. And like I said, the Bills scored 41 on them, so these numbers are even more impressive when you account for the fact that game happened. 19.7 points per game. They're top 10. On this 5-game winning streak, they're giving up 15.2. Last week against the Texans, the only touchdown they gave up was late when the game was over, and it didn't really matter anymore. They're giving up 343 yards per game, 15th in the league, 89 on the ground, which is 2nd in the league. That really doesn't matter this week. We don't really have to worry about your running backs, right? Game. Yeah, Edwards-Helaire hasn't panned out.
I say that if they come out and actually start Pacheco and give him the rock 15 times, they won't. But if they did, I think he would do some damage. That dude runs hard. And Clyde has no vision. Clyde is trash. Well, I do not think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good running back at all.
He hasn't panned out at all for you guys.
He's got the stats, but I could have a couple touchdowns in this offense, right?
Well, let's dial it back. But
yeah,
me and you, I'll give us one through 7 games. I'd give me and you.
I'll take one. Clyde should have way more than one, way more than 5. I think he's got 5 on the year.
He's got 3. He's got 3 touchdowns, 41 yards per game. That's all. I think it's because he wears that new helmet that just is ugly.
That is a sick helmet, though.
I hate those helmets.
I think it's sick. I love it.
You like them? I hate it. They don't have they don't have that bar across the top.
That's what I like about it. I'm like,
They
Something's
did
different
add.
here.
Did you notice most teams added the piece with it'll say Chiefs on it right there, so it doesn't
Yeah.
look as bad now. I hate that helmet, by the way. I'm completely off that helmet bandwagon, so that's all for you. Passing is the key here. Obviously, the Titans secondary versus the Chiefs passing game. Titans are giving up 254 passing yards per game, which is 24th in the league. 4 quarterbacks have thrown for over 300 yards on the Titans this season. Trev, is Mahomes going to become the 5th? What do you think?
For 300 yards?
Well, 4 of them have done it this year, and
Yeah.
3 of those have happened in Titans wins.
Yeah, I would say Mahomes is a pretty good bet to go over 300 this weekend.
Matt Ryan threw for 350 in the first game. They lost, by the way, just so you know. Titans defense is
before he retired.
Before he retired. Well, the Chiefs retired him. He didn't retire. Or the Colts. The Colts made him retire. The Titans are getting takeaways. That's one of the big changes recently. They're getting 1.6 a game. They've got an interception in 5 straight games. 19 sacks, 2.7 per game. The Chiefs, I had to double check this because I thought I had a typo, but the Chiefs and the Titans had the same exact amount of sacks on the season. They both have 19. I thought I wrote it wrong somewhere. I'm going to go back. Titans
they had 5 last week. I mean, 5 against the 49ers is gonna make that look good too.
Makes it look really, really good. If you guys have 5 on Sunday, it's not good. It's not good for Tennessee. That's bad. Titans are led by Jeffrey Simmons. Arguably, I mean, you could argue he's the second best defensive tackle in the league behind the all-world Aaron Donald. He's got 5.5 sacks. He's 13th in the league. He is leading this defense right now. So that's a big key is, can they get consistent pressure? And when they do, or when they don't, can the secondary hold up and not get shredded? The Titans had been giving up explosive plays at an insane clip. The Commanders had 3 plays over 25 yards. They only gave up 1 last week late. It's gone away. However, like you've pointed out on numerous occasions, the Titans have not played the Chiefs in the last 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's the over-under of 25-yard plays this week?
Man, I'd set it at 3.5.
3.5?
Big number. I'd set it.
You taking the over?
Yeah, probably, man.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm like. That seems low, man. I was thinking like 5.5, maybe. No, that's probably too high.
I think you've got some burners, and it happens to Tennessee, and especially if Mahomes can get out of the pocket and he gets out moving, those what could be 5-yard dump downs turn into 15-yard darts, and all of a sudden those guys
Andy
are off
Reid
and running.
schemes too, man. The way he schemes up some of these offensive plays, like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go beat your guy. You just have to be a little bit faster, and they got speed. And the way he schemes some of these plays, it's unreal.
That's where if Molden can get activated, that'll help quite a bit this week. It gets us back the cornerback we've missing. But if Hooker's gone, it's a wash. You sub in, sub out one. So that's the big thing. They can't allow those 45, 50-yard plays. And then Arrowhead gets into it. The fans get into it. It's just not what you can't have, especially Sunday night primetime game. Those fans are going to be out tailgating all day. That place is going to be nuts. Absolutely nuts. So we're going to move on to the prediction section here, Trev. We're going to talk props. I gave you free reign. I picked 2. I'm giving you 1. I do it every week. I'm 11-10 on the year, coming off a 3-0 week. So I'm going to use one of yours. So what do you got for me over there?
A prop?
Yep.
Just one?
Just one.
Well, if I'm taking
2,
one,
man?
Well, I jotted down 2, but I'll give you 1.
You give me them both. We'll take both.
We actually just talked about it. I pulled this prop off of Underdog Fantasy. If you go in there, you can actually do like a over-unders, which is pretty legit. So I took the over 288.5 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. Interesting enough, all the elite stats that you've thrown out here about the Chiefs offense, Mahomes has only gone over 300 yards 3 times. The first week and then the last 2 weeks. But again, when you go against the Bills, put up 338 and 2 passing touchdowns, and then you go for 423 and 3 passing touchdowns in back-to-back games, your offense is really starting to hum a little bit. So I think that's probably what we're going to see coming out of the bye as well. And I could see Mahomes hitting over 300. So if I can get a line at 288.5, I'm going to smash the over.
Yeah, I like that too. So I'm going to give you 2. You said you got one other one. Let's roll with it. What's the other one you got for me?
The other one is Juju Smith-Schuster receiving yards over 49.5.
I like that one.
Again, I'm just going off my kind of thought of this offense has really been humming recently, and Juju has really been a part of that. Like he is really starting to turn it on. 113 yards against Buffalo, 124 yards last week against San Francisco. Finally, after 5 weeks of really doing nothing, he shows up and has been, killing it. So I'll take Juju over 49.5 receiving yards.
I do like that too. Your big offseason signing, and you talked about it the last 2 weeks, over 100 yards, but the prior 5 hadn't done much all season.
No, not at all.
They finally got it figured out. Don't know how.
And I thought that was when I said the reason, one of the things was this wide receiver core wasn't doing anything. And except for the Bills, that he had a broken tackle and went for 50 yards. Well, when you can go take a broken tackle 50 yards that really inflates your numbers. But he just made me eat my words against San Francisco, and he dominated for 7 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown.
Hey, man, I would love for one of these Titans receivers to make me eat my words. It'd make me so happy. Like, you can make me
Treylon Burks back.
You got to get Burks back, and Robert Woods is now past his prime, but we can get more out of him too. But it doesn't help last week when you throw 10 passes and 1 went to the other team, and then the second half you're just like, no, we're good. 1 pass, that's it, dude. 1. Win's a win, though.
Against the Texans, that's all. Yeah, you don't need to pass it.
Just run the ball. Run the ball. I'm going with Derrick Henry over 100 yards, and I'm going to sprinkle in 2 touchdowns on top of it. I think Henry has a monster game. I predicted him last week 150 plus and 2 touchdowns. I don't know why I didn't bet it myself because I knew it was coming. I think Derrick Henry has a big day, and if he doesn't, Tennessee probably, unless the passing game makes an appearance that it hasn't made all season, they're not going to win this game. It's the Derrick Henry show or bust this week. And that grass field there in Arrowhead's going to treat him well. Going to treat him well.
It's been a little bit warm here in Kansas City. Derrick Henry likes it cold. Henry likes it cold.
Yeah, nobody likes to tackle Derrick Henry when it's cold. Would you like to tackle a freight train when it's cold? I wouldn't.
Nope.
Last time I visited Kansas City for a game, it was the AFC Championship game, and it was 20 degrees, swirling winds, awful.
It should be pretty nice this weekend.
So much nicer this week. So, Trev, all right, give me your prediction. Give me your final score for this game. What do you got?
All right. Mahomes in prime time is 15-2 for his career.
Great.
Andy Reid, coming off a bye week, is 21-3 in his career.
Oh, he's like Vrabel. Great coming off buys. That's not good.
Patrick Mahomes is 26-7 at home. I think that the one stat that is going against Patrick Mahomes this weekend, he is 0-2. Nope. He's 1-2 against the Tennessee Titans. I forgot about the playoff game. He's 0-2 in the regular season.
I wish it was 0-2, man.
I think that's what the stat I found was 0-2 in the regular season against the Tennessee Titans. I think that ends on the Sunday night. Chiefs win 34-20, keeping their giving up 20-point streak alive, but also covering the 12.5-point spread, giving the Chiefs 34-20.
I can respect that. Puts Tennessee right at their season average. I disagree. I completely disagree. I respect your
Chiefs
opinion.
Defense the Chiefs have given up 20 points in every game so far. So
that's impressive.
Might as well let that keep rolling.
Just ride with it. Well, it's wrong. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Okay. Completely wrong. Titans are going to pull the upset this week. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how Vrabel gets this stuff figured out. They've won 5 games in a row when they have no business winning any right now. Their offense is not talented outside of Derrick Henry. Tannehill's banged up. However, Titans are going to score their season high, my friend. They're going to score 31 points on Sunday. They're going to win 31-27. I don't know how they're going to do it. Something crazy is going to happen. Mahomes is going to throw a pick six. Something wild is going to happen. The Titans are going to pull the upset on Sunday, 31-27. And I forgot to mention this. Did you see the spread for this game? Have you seen it?
12.5.
It's outrageous.
12.5.
Outrageous.
You said that the Titans are going to score their season high. I thought you were going to say 21-20.
Oh no! Oh yeah.
Isn't that all they need to get a season high of points this year?
Sir, they scored 24 in the first half one game.
Okay. But they ended that game with 24.
They didn't score in the second half. That was against the Raiders. They didn't score. I actually think Tennessee, their season high is either 24 or 27. I can't remember what they scored.
It's
against the Colts
24.
first.
They've scored 24 twice.
Yeah,
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, that should have been. That's right. It should have been 27 against the Colts, but they botched it at the end of the first half and couldn't get a field goal.
What if we added up the records for this 5-game win streak for the mighty Titans? What do you think the records are for these teams combined? I haven't done it, but I'm just looking at they've got to be.
Oh man, we don't have to do that. Come on.
I mean, you got the Colts twice, so there's 6 wins already. If you multiply their wins, they got to be like 8-20-2.
Well, we played the Bills and the Giants in 2 losses. So if you're just talking about,
played 2 good teams and you got blown out by one of them.
Well, yeah, and the other one we just blew it because they went for Saquon Barkley decided to go back to the Fountain of Youth that game and destroy us. That is a fun thing to do. However, I'm not good at math. I'm going to plead the fifth when I can't add, so we're going to skip past that. We're just going to focus on the fact that Tennessee's 5-2, Chiefs are 5-2. Battle for the AFC number 2 seed. Obviously, the Chiefs want to keep pace with the Bills. Titans are trying to prove that they're no fluke, even though they are very one-dimensional. However, it is an elite dimension, which is great. It's just very one-dimensional. Trev, you got any final thoughts for this one?
I would say expect a lot of blitzes, a lot of run type style blitzes from the Chiefs. Expect them to leave those cornerbacks on an island each and every play potentially. They're going to go all out to stop Derrick Henry. And if they can keep Derrick Henry under 100 yards, I don't think the Titans keep it close at all. I think 12.5 point spread is large for the NFL. My friend, it might not be large enough. I think that the Chiefs have the opportunity really to just put the pedal down and thrash the Tennessee Titans this week and show everybody that losing to the Bills, although it hurt at the time, this team has taken that and lit a fire on their own asses and really just kicking the snot out of teams. And I think that's what's going to happen over the next couple weeks. Started with San Francisco last week, and it continues with the Tennessee Titans on Sunday night.
It's interesting. If it wasn't for another abysmal Thursday night game where it's the undefeated Eagles versus the worst team in the NFL, which is a 14-point spread, this would be the biggest spread of the week, I believe.
Again, and 2 5-2 teams. I think,
which is crazy. It shows you how much nobody respects Tennessee right now.
Yeah, that's true.
From a betting perspective, just nobody respects them, which I'm hoping some of the Chiefs do the same. It'd really help us out. So, Trev, where can we catch you at outside of here, my friend?
Yeah, catch me right here on this YouTube channel, the Rumbles of Red, every Friday night, 8:15 Central Time, 9:15 James time. We go DFS live show. James, you joined me last week, and we talked a little bit about DraftKings, but most of the time I'm talking FanDuel, main slate stuff, going through that. You can also find me. We drop an episode every Thursday morning, another damn fantasy podcast with my co-host Dan Portillo. Talking just season-long fantasy. That's where most of my knowledge is at, is on the fantasy football side of things. So catch me at both those podcasts. And I got to give a shout out to you, James. First, thanks for having me on, and obviously keep doing what you're doing with the Titans Tilts podcast. And everybody should go check out not only James, but all of our podcasts over there for Stadium Rant on NFL on Stadium Rant podcast on Spotify.
Thank you, Trev. I appreciate that. And as you talk about, did any of our lineups do anything last week? I've actually not asked you this question.
No, we stacked Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, man.
What were we doing?
What were we thinking?
They didn't even score a touchdown. They didn't score at all.
It was supposed to be one of the highest scoring games on the slate. And
one side of it was. So
I do think we brought back Kamara. Like we had that part.
We did. We brought him back to life so he can thank us. I'll appreciate that thank you when he sends it over. So, Trev, I've got one final question for you. I did not tip this one off at all. Obviously, I texted you about something last night. I have sent the little man in the family. He's got a Tennessee Titans shirt. I saw him wearing it yesterday.
Man.
On Sunday, my friend, what color is he going to be wearing? Will it be red and white? Or will it be two-toned blue?
It will not be two-toned blue. He will have his Patrick Mahomes jersey on. Yes, I go to pick up my son from school yesterday. He's got the Titans, Derrick Henry long sleeve. It's a pretty slick shirt.
It's nice, yeah.
And it's right after Henry goes for 202, 2. So it made,
219 and
it
2,
was a good
baby.
time. But everybody's giving him trouble and he didn't know why. And I had to tell his mom, they're playing the Titans this week. Out of all the weeks you send him to school in a Titans shirt, this is not the week to do it.
I
He
know.
probably got bullied. Somebody probably stole his lunch, threw it on top of his head, and I don't blame him.
Oh, I saw that and I was like, wait a second. Whoever dressed him had no idea. So I was like, it wasn't you. He either dressed himself or mom sent him off in it, because this is not the week to wear it.
He gets to wear that in March, man, not during football season.
Well, in the playoffs when they play again. He knows what's up.
He'll have his Mahomes jersey on.
He ain't no dummy. So, Trev, I appreciate you joining me this week. You guys can catch me twice a week, Titans Tilt podcast, where it's all over Spotify. Trev does me a huge favor posting it every week. I just send it over to me. It makes my life real easy. I'm also the co-host of The Bounce. It's the Stadium Rant's flagship NBA podcast every Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock Central. Me and Kev are talking NBA. We started last week. Last week was our first episode. We will be live again tomorrow night. And I just got to shout out a few people here. Trev, I was talking to today, a couple of our boys, Jeff Chapman, Boomer Jenkins, shouting them out them. I'm going to see Boomer this weekend. And I was told to give a shout out to Ryan Hillard, who's listening to our podcast because he's a huge Chiefs fan out there in Wichita. Wanted to know our thoughts are going to be on the Titans and Chiefs this week. So thank you guys for listening.
Let's shout out John G, baby, from St. Louis. He's getting married in a couple weeks, man.
John is getting married here. Man, is it next weekend or is it this weekend?
It's coming up. It's coming up.
It's
another old roommate, man. We gotta get all the roommates back together one day.
The old guard from Wichita. That would be a time to get us all together. That would be good. We haven't all been together in a very long time.
Probably for good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody should let us get back together. I think your wife might be like, "Hey, let's chill a little bit on that front."
Got too many kids these days.
Oh yeah, got to take care of them. I can't wait. Trev, we're gonna make a side bet here. So when Tennessee wins on Sunday, you got to send the little man to school. I'll let you wait till later in the week. Don't send him to school Monday in that shirt because he'll be bullied and they'll steal his lunch again. But maybe later in the week or maybe next week, we can let it get a cooling off period if we need to.
I'll just wait till he backtalks and I'll make him wear it at school. It's like a punishment.
Just stick him with the punishment that he doesn't even know. He won't even have any idea. So, Trev, thank you again for joining us again. This is the Titans Tilt podcast presented by Stadium Rant. I am your host, James Schmeits, my good friend Trevor. Trev, thank you again, my friend.
Thanks.
We'll see you guys. Until next time.